My name is Belinda Drew. I'm the CEO of the Community Services Industry Alliance. I think some of the changes that we've seen are really positive. The main area of change I think that many community service organisations are focused on now, where there's a really strong conversation, is this idea of being more child and family centred, to try to intervene earlier in the lives of children and their families, not to let things get to a crisis point. But I think that's all helped by a conversation about outcomes, change for children and families. So we've done a great piece of work with the Queensland Family Child Commission, looking at industry development collectively, and developed out of that a framework to help organisations think about their journey in terms of getting stronger around their service delivery and their interventions. And that's a piece of work we'll continue to evolve with the industry over time. And one of the really important parts of that has been to actually have strong industry leadership in that piece, that industry itself owns that, that agenda. I think some of the other benefits are the recognition that, you know, to keep investing in tertiary interventions in people's lives and seeing that as the only response is just not good enough anymore. We really need to start work at an earlier point. Industry needs to kind of come forward and shape some of that change itself, be a part of the process of really listening to the voices of children, young people and families, and bringing that forward in the discussion, being really clear about how the work they do with children and families links to the broader mission of their own organisation, and be able to articulate that and the connection between that and other services that they deliver. I think organisations in this space in 10 years need to be in a place where they're really proud of what they're contributing to the community and able to talk about that in ways that are meaningful to the general community, but also to children and families that they support as well. I think for all of those things that services can't do, you know, support families in informal ways, create informal safety nets for children, support children to develop broad sets of relationships and peer groups, and it's really important that community steps in and plays a significant role. And you know, I suspect we have to find ways to appropriately resource that effort to kind of draw that broader community engagement into this space over time, which might seem a bit unnatural to begin with, but it's almost like opening up that invitation again to invite people generally back into a space that's become the responsibility for a sort of discrete part of the service delivery system. I think this is a really tough space to work in. That's an obvious thing to say, but there are also a whole range of challenges and risks that come along with that, and then a whole range of extraordinary opportunities to tell great stories of change. So I think, you know, I would be encouraging of the sector to stay focused on building its own strength, really demonstrating leadership where leadership is necessary around the sort of cultural and people changes that will need to happen to, you know, to deliver the change that we're seeking, and then to start to kind of bring back some storytelling about the positive change that organisations deliver in the lives of children and families, and you know, to use that as a way of not just encouraging a sense of hopefulness for children and their families, but for the sort of broader collection of organisations across the space that are doing this work.